Dogs and kids will ruin us.
They
Welcome
will.
back.
Welcome, yeah. Hey, Caitlin, just had to let the dog out of my office. He was
Which dog? Which dog?
Ramsey, the little white one. He was
Ramsey.
perfectly content until we hit record, and then he said, "I need to leave."
Maybe he was like, I gotta make sure that these yahoos on the computer aren't gonna mess with my man who's sick. Maybe that he
I
was
mean,
like
maybe.
being a protector, and then when he realized like, oh, they're cool,
Yeah,
he was like,
today's
all right.
episode is brought to you by the letter C for COVID, because that's what I have. My husband brought it back from a trip to Japan which is kind of inevitable at this point. Like, we're sort of like, well, it's going to happen. So,
Yeah,
it's
just
whatever.
it's just the flu. I hope. I know that's
Yeah,
not
I know. But I
everybody's
think we have to,
like in
I mean,
yeah.
realistically, we have to tolerate it like that, right? Like, it's just going to
Mhm.
happen, or you don't live your life and you get into a bubble, and that's no fun. Although,
Yeah,
honestly, like, put me in a bubble.
yeah, right.
Like,
You're like, don't threaten
I'm,
me with a good time.
I know,
I
the
will say,
introverts rule.
I actually wished somebody whose kid was starting back to school a couple weeks ago. I was like, well, enjoy your last week of not being sick all the time, because
Mm-hmm.
that's what happens every fall now that I have a tiny human,
Yep.
that like everybody is sick. And as soon as they like start swimming in a different pool, so like right away at the beginning of summer, it was like, oh, all the big kid germs were back from school, and then we all had summer colds for like 2 weeks, and then we were fine all summer, and then now they're all like, all the big kids are back at school swimming in that pool, and then they're going to come back to daycare or go home to their little siblings, and then all of those germs
Mm-hmm.
come to daycare.
Yep.
So we got our first alert yesterday. Somebody had hand, foot, and mouth, which
Oh, wow.
yep.
Like, isn't that like, that's
Hmm.
also like a cattle disease, right? Like hoof and mouth
No,
or whatever. Oh, that's
that's
different.
hoof
Oh, okay.
and mouth. Yeah, it's different.
Um,
This one is it's I will spare you the
it's
graphic
fine.
details,
Yeah, it's
but it's a long quarantine
okay. Great.
because they're yep, yep. So
Great.
I'm really hoping that the last time we had it is the same rotavirus that's causing this one, so that we can just
Move
the
on.
likelihood is low, but I'm looking
I
forward
know.
to being absent for the next
Well,
2 weeks.
so on Saturday I had a scratchy throat. So I love playing is it the Canadian wildfires causing my scratchy
Mm.
throat? Is it just seasonal allergies because now the temperatures are bouncing between 50 degrees and 80 degrees every day? And
Yep.
is that causing it? Then I went to Costco to get COVID tests, which they have a bunch, by the way, which I was
Okay.
surprised. And had to ask the pharmacist where they were, and he said if we have any, they're right
He's
over
like
there. And they were. They're
right
just a
there.
big, huge teal box, like can't miss them. But then he's
Well,
like,
you can
well,
apparently.
apparently yes, I can. Um, and he's like, he's like flu season started like 4 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like influenza B has been going around, at least down here. And so it's like, okay, like what do I have? And then you get a negative
Mm-hmm.
COVID test and you're like, okay, maybe it's just a mild flu, or maybe it truly just is these wildfires. And then 2 days later you test and get like the
It's like,
strongest lines for the
or
COVID
maybe
test.
I was right and it was COVID all along.
Cheers. Well, here's hoping
Here, here.
that our guests for this episode and next don't have COVID after coming back from a very large conference.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be talking Inbound 2023, which is the conference that they say is not for all things HubSpot, but is for all things HubSpot. I mean, let's just...
And all of the other things.
Yeah, it's really a lead gen inbound marketing conference. They are true. And
Yeah.
Inbound is a separate entity. And it runs itself differently. It takes payments differently than
Mm-hmm.
HubSpot, but they're very, very tied together. I mean, HubSpot launched
Mm-hmm.
Inbound. It just kind of
Yeah.
became its own thing. So I've been several times, 4, 5. I don't remember, 4 maybe.
That feels
And
right.
didn't go this year. So you went, and we're not going to talk about that today. You're playing the role of host.
Zach told me that I had to save my opinions, and I
Oh.
just dead eye through I was like, do you even know me?
He's ready to just mute your mic every time you start saying
Right.
something. Because you're in the next
Pipe
episode.
down.
You're a guest with Jesse in the next episode.
Yeah.
Because you guys were first timers this year.
Yeah.
Um,
I've been to, so like I mean, we can talk more about this next time, but I've been to other conferences, so
Hmm.
I kind of knew what to expect, uh, but also didn't.
Did your other conferences have Reese Witherspoon and John Mulaney at them?
No, no,
And I think was it last year, year before? Anyway, one year we had Barack Obama.
that was last year.
Last year, yes. So that was a good one. I mean, Inbound
Yeah,
really does it. Like, they take their budget to the next level. So that's going to be
yeah.
interesting to talk to Jessica because she's been a few times, once pre-COVID and twice post-COVID now. And so we're gonna talk to her about like what's different this year from last year. And I can share from last year some of the complaints that I had. And that I learned that other partners
Not
had too.
you.
Talking to other partners, they were like,
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, we'll get into this, and it should be good. So I'm curious,
The
Caitlin. Oh, go ahead.
Yes. I was gonna jump to our cocktail, but
I
what's your
was My
curiosity?
curiosity
Okay.
was I'm guessing this cocktail was not served at Inbound.
No, but they did have a surprising number of bar choices. I get
Mm-hmm.
travel tummy, so
Ooh.
I didn't get to go as hard as I would have at home. Just because I was sharing a hotel room. So just that's enough about that. But
Conscious of your
uh
gastric
I
system.
just yeah,
Got
she
it.
just
No,
wasn't
that's
just wasn't
polite though. That's very polite of you.
hmm.
I mean, if you want to go there, I've started a new probiotic, so that's always interesting as well. It's
Yeah,
actually
maybe I'll take that with me.
it's a pre-pro, so it's a two
We
layered
don't we
capsule.
don't need to. No.
Well, parts for your stomach and
No.
parts for the rest of you. All right, so this
Okay.
cocktail is the Hubspot Highball, and did Zach invent this, or is this truly something that matters?
This
Like,
is probably the first cocktail that I completely created on my own. So feel free to tear it apart if you want.
Did
oh,
you
But
test it?
I
Did you
did
make it
not
for
test
yourself?
it. I basically just tried my best. Let's just put it that way.
all right, that's interesting. So we're gonna have to try this, and see how it goes. I don't have any orange infused vodka though. So we're gonna have to infuse some vodka, Caitlin, and
Yeah.
then we'll figure it out. Although I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna say this would be so much better with gin.
Honestly, it might also be okay with tequila,
Yeah, I'm
but then it's
actually.
basically just like an orange margarita. All right. So if you want to try this at home, I might force my in-home bartender to make this for me. 2 ounces of orange-infused vodka, 1 ounce of freshly squeezed orange juice, half ounce of triple sec, half ounce of simple syrup. It says adjust to taste, which I think is fair.
Hmm.
Uh,
Some people don't like sweet.
Pour the vodka and orange juice and the triple sec. I'm just reading the instructions.
We do such good
Everything
prep ahead of
except the
time.
soda. Yeah.
Yeah, no fizzies
Into the
in your
shaker.
shaker.
And then shake. Yeah. Look at that.
And
And then garnish with an orange slice.
and you have to put this one in a highball glass because it is called the Hubspot Highball.
Hubspot Highball. Yeah.
With
Yeah.
ice cubes.
I
Or
think, Zach, I think you did okay.
I think
I
it's
would be
good.
curious to try this.
My
My
inspiration was just orange flavored because HubSpot is
Yeah.
orange.
HubSpot's
Yep.
branding colors.
No,
That's perfect.
good. I mean, this could be ours too. Like our color, our brand
Yeah.
color is like our primary color is orange.
Hmm.
My only concern is it going to be too orange with the orange infused vodka and the orange juice?
I might.
I'm
Just
open
do
to
like a
experimentation.
All right, perfect,
It's
perfect.
like I'll try it. Yeah.
Zach, open to experimentation. Sounds fantastic. Um, you said it. I didn't say it. I think this sounds really good. It sounds refreshing and light.
Yeah.
We should probably see if HubSpot wants to buy the recipe from us. Because
That also assumes that no one has made this before,
I'm pretty sure
which I
somebody has
yeah,
made that.
I find interesting. I find that interesting in cocktails that like everything old is new again, or whatever that phrase is. That like it's like there are 12 stories to tell. There's
Mhm.
only so many spirits and so many like citrus and sodas
Yep.
that you can combine.
Everybody's done it somewhere. So Caitlin, one correction. I just found page 2 of our prep notes, and you're actually supposed to stir, not shake.
Yeah, I found that interesting as
It's
well.
a gentle stir. Is there a reason for the stir, or is that just you being pretentious, Zach?
A little pretentious, maybe. I don't know.
Okay. Got it. So feel free to shake or stir it. I don't think it's going to ruin it if you shake it.
No.
But you
I
could
would
do a
I would
gentle
shake
stir.
it over ice because
Just to
that's gonna
chill it.
like cool it all down. Yeah.
And then I would put it in a highball with one of our craft cocktail balls that our refrigerator makes because we fancy. This sounds good. You know, one thing I was noting is in listening to a previous episode, one, I'm glad we got new equipment. So there's that. This equipment is so much better. But 2, it was actually an episode where you were drinking the cocktail, Caitlin. You were at home in your bar. I think we were all in your bar, maybe.
Probably.
And you were the only one drinking the cocktail because I think the rest of us had to drive somewhere.
Jessica was drinking.
Well, she wasn't on the episode, though. She was just hanging
Oh,
out.
but she was just sitting in the background like,
I mean, of the people recording, you were having the cocktail. And I'm like, we need to get back to that. But, I mean, we probably don't need to record these at 9 o'clock in the morning then. Although
I think that
this
could be a breakfast drink.
Could be a breakfast drink, 100%, Zach. I feel like you've had a new brunch drink.
Yeah.
All right. I was
going to say, we've been at this for a minute. Should we get into it with Jessica?
Yeah, let's.
I'm ready.
Let's jump in.
I'm ready to keep my opinions to myself.
No, you're not. And we're back.
Hi, Jessica.
With Jessica. Hello. Bringing her out
You
of
ready?
her shell.
Let's do it.
For
I'm
the
as
hot
ready as
seat.
I'm gonna be, right?
Yes, I'm sure she was so excited to hear, like, your episode's going to be just you, and then Caitlin and Jesse
I
will do
mean,
an episode
it's
later.
fine because I know that Caitlin won't actually keep her opinions to herself, which I do appreciate. I was less excited when Zach originally scheduled this for like Monday morning at 9 a.m. when we were first getting back, and I was like, "This boy is crazy."
Oh gosh.
Oh, no. No, we can't do that. So you're
not ready.
You had a little bit of an adventure coming back. We can start
We
with
did.
that. And I use the word adventure very loosely. But yeah, your flight
The
was
weather inhibited our departure from Boston.
correct.
We made the best of
We
a
did.
terrible
We had a great
situation.
time in not technically Boston, but Revere, Massachusetts. It was the first time that I've had travel trouble coming back from inbound in the 3 years that I've gone, which
Yeah, same.
I'm going to take it as a win. And also, I'm really glad that I was with other people because I've never had a flight be delayed, canceled-ish. So it was good to be with other people so I didn't have a complete panic attack. But that's just my travel stuff.
Well, I mean, I do recall when they deplaned you, I had a very explicit term to let you know that, like, you're probably staying in
We
Boston.
knew that. Like, we were sitting on the plane and you're like, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And both of our husbands were like, it's going to be fine. Like, Chris, my husband, was just like, oh, just go have a drink. It'll all work out. And I was like, I don't think you understand.
Oh no, once they take you off the plane, because now you're risking crew timeouts and a whole bunch of things, and that weather was like coming at you, it wasn't moving away.
Well, and it was like it was like from I'm terrible at geography, but like from the bottom of the Great Lakes to like the top of Florida was just like a line of thunderstorms. And so it was like there's no, like, we can't you can't go around it.
Yeah, when I looked at it.
And one of the other gate agents, not at ours, but at one of the other planes that had also deplaned, got on and she was like, listen, there are no paths out to if you're going west, if you're going south, if you're going southwest, like, there was nothing.
Well, basically,
it was just like, if you're going to Canada, you might get to leave.
Agents,
well, and east
the gate
England.
agents in Boston give zero fucks. They are amazing. Like, they were fantastic.
It was
Loved them.
Yeah, no, I love that about the East Coast, especially Boston and New York. Like, there's a lot of things that I don't like, but you know where people stand. Like, they just tell it like it is.
I think the other thing that really benefited us in the like planing, deplaning scenario is that everyone was flying to the Midwest. So we were all like, yep, well, we get it. Like, the weather is the weather. And everyone was just like, oh, okay.
Like, we're all going to miss our connections.
Like,
Great. Because
Yeah.
anywhere you're flying, you're not flying direct.
But
Correct.
everyone was just like, well, I guess. And so everybody got off. There was one guy who was convinced that it was all Tom Brady's fault. He's like
Tom Brady controls the weather now. He's got a weather machine.
Well, so like we did a little bit of research after the fact, and like Delta and Tom Brady have some sort of partnership of some kind, but
Okay.
I am choosing. So this man on the plane, he's like, well, if they wouldn't have spent all that money hiring Tom Brady, they would have been able to hire more air traffic controllers. And I legitimately thought he meant like the New England Patriots, as if he thought that all of the money from the Eastern Seaboard came out of the same bucket. And I was like, sir, that is not how any of this works.
No,
But then Jessica did some more digging after this. Jesse did?
He was like, I'm tired of
Okay.
hearing you guys talk
I
about
thought-
this. This is not the story.
But
so that even if that was the case, like air traffic control is, what did you call it? Airline agnostic,
I was like-
Jessica said.
yeah, and they
I was like, they
don't.
Yeah.
The government hires those people, but they
It
also,
was so funny.
whether you've got 2 air traffic controllers or 200, they can't split a storm system and send planes
Right.
through it.
Another
They're
thing
not
he said was like,
Moses.
they fly over hurricanes. Why can't we just go around this storm? And I was like, sir, you're missing your connection already anyway. Just calm down.
Well, and to go
Mhm.
around the storm, you'd have to go south
would've had
around
to go,
Puerto
like,
Rico and come back
All the
up.
way to
Pretty
the
much. I mean,
northern
like,
parts of
it
of
was
Canada.
wild.
Like, no.
Right.
Like, then that doesn't, the world doesn't work that
Anyway.
way. All right, so that was a heck of a tangent about travel, but it was about
Mhm.
inbound. So, Jessica, I'm going to just get right into the thing that's always on my mind, and you know it. So last year at Inbound, we felt like it was super high, like toward the enterprise, like large organizations really coming at like a Salesforce or those big enterprise solutions, and they had so much that they launched there. And it kind of felt like the SMBs were left out, and the partners, there wasn't a ton for partners. So that's part one. Part two is they also restricted tickets. I want to say it was like 3,000 or 5,000 people. So first of all, on the size, I hear it was bigger this year.
It was
It was
like
massive.
So when we were talking about this before kind of getting ready, I was some reason I had like 6 in my head. So we were at least double. When they got on for the spotlight on Wednesday morning, they said there were 12,000 people. And I was like, this feels right. Yeah, this feels like 12,000 people. And it was definitely a lot bigger. But I feel
It
like
was
there were
massive.
more people. But I also, and I haven't checked the numbers, so I could be completely wrong, but it felt like there were a lot more sessions too. So like the
I'm
rooms
sure.
didn't change
I would hope.
size, like the number of people in the sessions didn't change, but I think they had a lot more, which was really great because I think it helped with that. Like there was stuff for enterprises. There were those ones where they were still talking about really like big business things, but there were also a lot on like scaling your business and remote work and like really tactical things. That was really great. So I think it was a better mix this year for sure. Yes.
So it was balanced. It really wasn't swayed. They didn't sway all the way back to like, here's how you use HubSpot for your
No, like
grocery
there was a bunch,
bodega thing.
and I think that it helped like businesses like ours, but
I don't
also just like small businesses who want to do a lot of it themselves, because there were a lot like what every HubSpot admin needs to know, and like those really basic setup things that I think are really beneficial, and I think that really leaned kind of the opposite of where they were last year.
Good. Yeah. I mean, and I think one of the things about HubSpot is it was designed to be marketing and sales software for non-marketing and non-sales people. Like you could be a business owner and you could do this. So that's cool to hear that. And holy cow, they're launching a ton of stuff
which
too.
is
so like
always one
so
of my
many
favorite
changes.
sessions is the like the HubSpot spotlight at the very beginning where they talk about all the stuff they're rolling out,
Mhm.
because I like to have all of the information and be in the know. So it's always fun to be like, ooh, look at all this stuff we just learned about that nobody else knows about except for, the other
Mhm.
12,000 people in the room, but we're not going to talk about that.
11,999.
Well, and you were, I know you were sending me links and being like, hey, look at this. And I'm like looking at some of it. And some of it I was like, I don't understand. Like, I hope you got something different where you're at, because this video is not telling me what this feature actually is. Also, I don't like watching videos to learn about features. I like reading lists and seeing screenshots. So Gen X for the win right here. Cool.
Yeah. I found that I feel like I know
Right.
Brian and Dharmesh now because I've listened to both of them talk twice. So,
Yeah.
we're friends.
I mean-
Brian and Dharmesh are the founders of HubSpot.
And
So,
what was really interesting was it last year we went through Brian's whole ski accident?
It was
or
one of
year
the
before?
virtual
I think
only
it was the year
years,
before.
like during COVID. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
So Brian he was CEO and he had a huge skiing accident and was like out of commission for like a year. And that was part of the transition to the new CEO. It was sort of a,
because
hey,
now he's like
maybe it's
executive
time.
chairman or something. Yeah.
Yeah. How do I get that job? Can I just be executive chairman?
someday.
And show up for conferences and vamp a
Why
little
not?
bit and then be out?
yeah,
He just does the
back
princess
to
way.
it.
No, he struck me as somebody who was like very in tune with himself, like very self-aware,
Oh yeah.
and not afraid to like acknowledge past shortcomings. He mentioned that like they would do performance reviews for everyone and they would be public. So he's like, we basically sent out like net promoter scores for our leadership, and then we would say like, here we're on a not like the, I don't know, personal improvement plan. It wasn't like an actual PIP, but it was like, here's what I'm gonna work on. And I can't remember who the interview. Oh, it was Guy Raz said, okay, what were the things that came out of that? And he's like, well, I used to lose my temper a lot, and I didn't realize how much that affected everyone else around me. And I was like, ooh, yeah, it was.
Yeah, you guys
it was
are
admirable. I mean, and to like acknowledge that in a room of 12,000
12,000
strangers,
12,000 of your
yeah,
customers. Like,
yeah.
They're really honest, and I
yeah.
love that. I think that part, Caitlin, and then the part where Dharmesh had said that one of the things that had shown up on his was that they wished that he would come into the office more. They wanted to have more FaceTime with them, and his response was, "Works as designed." Because he's like, I know the commute is not what I'm interested in. Because he is a hardcore introvert. So he's like, no, I won't be doing that. But thank you.
It was
so
like,
much.
he's like, it was like they were giving me a bug report, and he's like, no, that's a feature, not a bug. Like,
yeah, it's I appreciate the feedback and it makes me feel good, but no.
Thank you.
thank you so much.
That's
I will
really
not
good.
be doing that.
Going back
Yeah.
to what you had
All right, were there any-
said, Rich,
Go
about
ahead.
how like HubSpot was designed for like SMBs and not, they had talked about in this like how they built HubSpot session that was just with Brian and Dharmesh. It was, everybody, all of our investors, everyone was telling us, build this for enterprises, go after these big enterprises. And they were like, no. I was like, they get so much already. Like, we want to help out these small to mid-sized businesses.
They were talking about how the internet really had a benefit for SMBs. And they were like, we want to help SMBs capitalize on that benefit. I think the other thing that was really interesting from that segment was talking about how they made some like non-negotiable decisions early on when they were founding and like in the kind of startup phase, where it was like, we have said it's SMBs, whether our investors like that or not, like that's not negotiable for us. And then it was like they each had like kind of a veto power, and it was like, if they were at odds over a decision, one got to
it was like
decide over the
they
it was
referred
like,
to it as
this
like
is
laying on the
non-negotiable.
tracks. Like, we're gonna lay on the tracks. This is our thing, and then they would go with that
Yeah,
person.
yes,
But if they
yes.
both did it, then Brian got the final say, and that had only happened like one time in their entire partnership that they had to do that.
And that's important in an equal partnership, especially if you're 50-50. You've got to have some sort of a literally legal rule in your bylaws or somewhere on who can make the decision if you're even, because you can't just stall, right? You can't just stop and not do anything.
Yeah,
that's really, really fascinating.
It was really interesting insight into like building something successful too, that they were transparent about, like, yeah, we didn't really know what we were doing necessarily, but we had feelings about what we wanted our business to look like and what we wanted this partnership to be like.
Yeah, they knew.
I really respected that.
They knew their why. They knew why they were doing this, and they were very passionate about it. I think one of the other things that, obviously it turned out brilliantly, they're a multi-billion-dollar company.
Right.
But it's kind of like when we buy keywords, right? I'm just going to go back to something really tactical from my world. When you're looking at keywords, like, you can buy that keyword that everybody else is buying, and it's really expensive and it's hard to do, and you're fighting tooth and nail for it. Or you can find that space where there's a gap, where there's, I mean, in this instance, it wasn't even there's a smaller audience for it. There's a huge audience for small and medium businesses. Right. Even, especially post-COVID, like the number of businesses that started just exponentially like blew up. So it was this real good kind of white space for them, or blue ocean, or whatever you want to call it, where they could, Caitlin laughs because she knows I hate those terms, where they could really make a difference and actually build something and compete. And now they do. Like, somebody just the other day on a call said, I know HubSpot competes with Salesforce. I'm like, well, competes and also partners with. Like, they have a really solid integration, because, sometimes you want the best of both worlds, and sometimes you want to, like, knock down, drag out.
Yeah.
Very cool. So what was that your favorite session then? Or did you have another one that you thought was like really great?
Yeah, Caitlin really wants to answer so bad.
I was like, you're not asking me.
No, that wasn't necessarily my favorite. Like, I always enjoy hearing them talk, because I feel like seeing what HubSpot is now and hearing where they started and why they started and how they actually developed it. Like, they went through this whole piece on, there was a really long period of time where they didn't think about company culture at all. But then they realized, like, if we don't define this, then we'll fail no matter how good the product is. So that was really interesting. But I had heard some of those, the snippets of that story before, because they've shared it. There were some that were really interesting to me on, like, burnout, addressing burnout and how to prevent that with your employees, and like remote first culture, which we obviously don't have a staff that is fully remote. We're kind of this weird like hybrid of, we've got people in the office, we've got people who work completely remote, we've got the two offices that are separated. So getting some really interesting tactical feedback on some of that stuff. Like, we have a really great culture already, but how can we improve that, and how can we stay ahead of what other companies are doing? So I really enjoyed those.
Good. You can
yeah. Oh, I'm gonna make up a list before our next.
That's top of my mind.
My goal is to, like, in the next 3 weeks
totally
or the next
fine.
2 weeks or whenever we have our next leadership meeting, just to like put some stuff down and get a plan. And there was also one on scaling your business, like with personal productivity tips, and also things that your business should do. And then I really enjoyed this like building an applicant tracking system with HubSpot session that Caitlin and Jesse were also in. So we all sat in on that because I had a client like 4 or 5 months ago. One of their sales team members was like, well, you can't do that with HubSpot. It's impossible. And in my mind, I'm like, no, it's not. It's completely possible. Well, I know we do it, but we are like, I was like, you can do it at scale. Yes.
We're
I was like, you
small.
can do it at
We're
scale. You can
small.
do it for a large recruiting team. But I didn't have the, like, all of the tactics of how to do it. And then I saw this session pop up and I was like, this is perfect. And they actually, the woman who did it, Mandy Thompson, amazing. Yes.
Shout out to Mandy, who's probably not listening.
Yes.
We're
to our
connected
podcast.
on
It was
LinkedIn
great.
now. She
Got
brilliant.
feedback from
Brilliant.
the group. It was a Friday session, so it was a little bit smaller because some people have to leave because of flights and stuff. But it was in one of the big rooms, and she asked around. She was like, "Is this the thing that you want to do? How many recruiters? How many of you do video interviews?" And really tailored her presentation to what we needed, and then actually gave us like things. She showed their live portal, which I think is really brave because you never know what you're going to click on. She made sure that things, like, it was filtering out like actual applicants and things, but she showed us how they set up their pipeline, how they set up their workflows. And it was like, all right, now I have this really tactical thing that I can take and make it work for us better or for our clients and things. So like having that session was really great because I felt like I have something that I can actually take and help one of our clients, which is always my main goal.
That one also solidified for me the need. Like, I knew this through the onboarding processes that we've been doing with like our partner onboardings. But I have told people in the past, like, put it on paper before you start trying to build it in HubSpot. And Mandy gave a couple of really great tools for that to say, like, here is how you should draw it out. Here's what this should look like. And it helped just kind of fortify what I already knew and also give me something tangible to take back to people to say, like, if you're struggling with this, here's how I would suggest lining it out, because their workflows were so robust and they were using smart content for positions, and like the front end work that they put into this was really, really spectacular, but then just reinforced the idea that you can build something that will automate and make the rest of your time easier.
Well, yeah.
It's like, yeah.
When you think about the hiring process, you're gathering information, you're scheduling meetings, you're scheduling a video interview. All that could be done with, like, basically if it comes in, you have to review the candidate, obviously. But if you give them a score,
but they had built in some like automatic disqualifications where it was like, if you don't pass, you know, like, because they are doing like behavioral testing and like cognitive testing. So it was like, if this score doesn't equal this, then they get the auto decline, and it's like like a personalized email, but still like automatically filtering people out who don't meet the qualifications. And she even said, she's like, I don't know if you're like me and you post a position and you just get like 400 people that are auto applying and don't meet the qualifications. And she's like, she did caveat, she's like, I know that there is something to be said for not having the skills, and that's okay. Like, some of those people will filter out, but she's like, there is a huge set of people on LinkedIn that are just like auto apply.
And I think that some of our clients would fit into this too, like the amount of positions they post and the amount of applicants they get. Like, while we can kind of go with that, are we filling, like, we're finding the right soft skills sometimes that don't necessarily show up on a resume, but there are some where like you have to know how to do X, Y, and Z, or you have to have this certification for this position, and it really automated that. So it just made it, it reinforced my, like, I knew this was possible, and now I have this like thing that I can take back and be like, I told you so.
I got the ammo.
Yeah, and then you can give them a quote for what it would cost for us to build that for them. Really cool. Like, so some really interesting, like, deep niche kind of things that you can do with the tools. That's fantastic.
I think the other thing that was valuable out of that was just extrapolating that process into other areas where it's like, okay, so I see what's possible here, and I can take that and apply it to X and Y and Z and really start to like
this is the session
make
that
some
we
robust
walked out of, Rich, and
automations.
Caitlin's like, I just want to be a HubSpot specialist. Like, I can do all of these things. And I was like, well, you kind of are. So
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah, I mean, that is, I mean, we could change your title if you want to. That's fine.
Queen. HubSpot Queen.
We'll have to call Brian and Dermesh and ask if that's okay. So yeah, I think that
could we call me the automation queen?
Maybe. I mean, I'm gonna need to see some deep workflows coming out of you first, maybe. One of the things that's
now that I know how to use Lucid Chart, just buckle up.
Yeah, I've been using that forever.
Really?
There's a couple tools that I've suggested that I mean, may need to suggest again because it sounds like people would be on board with them.
It'll be part of my.
It's down to that like measured
list, maybe. I don't know.
Okay. There's another one that's not Lucid that's specifically designed for building workflows, like for automation. I can't remember the name of it. I'll have to find it. But it's the whole measure twice, cut once, right? And it's why we have, and I love, because I know Jessica just sent it to a client, the giant spreadsheet that I created for permissions, because permissions can be complicated, and you can just go in and start setting them, but then you're going to lose it. You're going to lose track. But if you've got tabs for roles and what permissions people have and what permissions people are possible, you can actually build out your permission sets in HubSpot and assign people to them. But the one thing that we get is like, this is overwhelming. It's like, yeah, it is overwhelming, which is why we charge to help you do this. But doing it this way is going to be so much easier in the long run than just going in and trying to willy-nilly pull stuff together.
Well, and that's one of the other sessions I went to was like why implementations fail or like where they go wrong. And like that's it. Is
Planning.
Like you get overwhelmed and you think that you have to eat the elephant all at once instead of like breaking it up into pieces and saying like, okay, by this date we need to do X, Y, and Z, and by the next date we need to do A, B, and C.
It's
and
like that's one
just
end,
like,
or you have the people that just like dive in and then they mess it all up, make a big old mess, and it's like no. If you would have like taken 2 steps back, thought about the implication of this, then it would have been so much easier moving forward. So now we got to clean it up and then do the things that you really wanted to do.
And we have to, yep.
Yeah, that can be crazy. So, couple more questions because I know we're like getting long on time. Biggest surprise this year?
That's a tough one. I think that it was, while the prospect of having that many more people there again can be kind of daunting, and you're like, oh my God, the lines and the time. But I think that it's really kind of infectious. And I feel like I always feel this way coming out of inbound, is like you're in this room with all of these different people. Like we all kind of do the same thing, but it's so vast, the amount of different companies. Like in one of it was at the after hours event, and John Mulaney was talking to these people, and they make diamond like blades and things for like diamond tools. Yes,
diamond tools. So like diamond.
Yes. And it was like, yes, that's a real thing,
and
but it's like they're there and agencies are there, and it's like it's all of these different people, but it's really just kind of infectious, and you come back wanting to do all of these things. So it wasn't really surprising, but it's always this nice like little bit for when you first come back that it's like, oh yes, let's go, and then you have all these big ideas.
The return to that return to that energy that was kind of, I mean, and I do think some of that energy was lacking last year because it did feel small.
I think they really brought that back.
Very cool. And then, okay, and last question, scale of 1 to 10, how are you going to rate the experience you had at HubSpot at Inbound this year? Sorry.
Oh, I hate these questions. I mean, I
That's
know
why Zach puts them in here.
it's like favorites and ratings. It's like, I'm not going to give it a 10 because I feel like a 10 is like perfect and nothing is ever perfect. So let's call it like a 9 or a 9.5 because I feel like
Oh,
I
that's
came
really
away with
good.
a lot of really useful things that I can actually do this year. Whereas like we were talking about at the very beginning, last year it was really focused on like these really big businesses. While we work with some of those, we also work with really small teams and really small budgets, and like how can we help those clients too, and how can we grow our business. So I think I got a little bit of all of that this year, which is great. So I'm gonna rate it really high, but like I said, not perfect. I'll give them, maybe next year they'll get a 10. We'll see. Yeah.
A little room to grow, but not. I mean, nine and a
Yeah,
half is
like I said,
huge.
I feel
That's
like I got a lot
fantastic.
out of it. I hope that Caitlin and Jesse do feel that way too, and I know that we'll find out about that on the next episode. Um,
I was gonna say, I was like, I was ready to buy my
yeah,
ticket for next year
Oh, they're
on the
cheaper.
plane.
They're cheaper if we do
That's
it
why I was
now.
like, we can get 2 for the price of 1
yeah,
right
I know.
now.
Rich has said it
Yeah,
in the
it's
past,
So
and I know that the goal would be able to be like take everybody, and it's something that we have to work up towards. But there is a little bit of something for everyone, which I think is great, especially with where it feels like they're
yeah.
moving back to. I think everybody can get something from it.
Yeah, we'll probably buy a couple of tickets at least because we should get our free one. We'll still be platinum next year, hopefully. And we'll probably buy a couple because we can always change who they go to. I don't have to put a name on them right now, which is really nice that they do that. Like right up till the day, you can do that. But yeah, I do like the cheaper tickets. That's always
If we're
fun.
gonna go anyway, we may as well save the money.
Well, and then we also get the first notice when the hotel blocks
Yep.
open up and all that stuff. So we'll figure it out. Maybe I'll go back next year.
Although I will say that the Hampton Seaport, is that what it was called? Spectacular. A+ experience all around.
And
It
super
wasn't bad.
close,
It
right?
was a really
Yeah.
the only
It
thing
was
that made
very
that walk
walkable.
terrible was that it was so blessed. No, well that, but it was
Your
so
shoes.
blessed hot in Boston last week. It was
Well,
so
yeah.
hot.
So hot.
Well, last year it was raining. If
A
I
little
remember right,
bit,
a
but
lot
it
of
was
times,
it was so hot. I was like, why is it
every once in a
cooler
while.
in Iowa right now than it is in Massachusetts? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that ocean breeze not helping you. All right. Well, thank you for coming out of your shell for this episode. We appreciate it. And Caitlin, you did a good job kind of
did her
holding
best.
back. You'll have your chance.
I did the best that I could.
It's fair. It's a big ask. I get that it's a big
It
ask.
really is.
All right. So join us for the next one.
I just all right.
When Caitlin and Jesse share their
When I tell you all,
We'll see
of
if
the
we get to hear
things,
Jesse's
I can't
opinion.
wait.
we will make sure that we get to hear Jesse's opinion. We need to hear from both of the noobs. Also, like hearing from a creative on what they got out of it is going to be very interesting. I mean, I suppose we could split it into 3 if we wanted to, but that's Zach's call. All right. Thanks.
Does that mean I get an entire hour just to myself to tell you how I feel about everything?
Well, these are generally
Whiskey,
like
whiskey.
30 to 40 minutes, so not an hour.
Don't threaten me with a good time. See you next time.
And that's a wrap for another episode of Cocktails, Tangents, and Answers.
We hope you had as much fun as we did.
So if you'd like to connect and have more fun, you can find me on social media at Rich Mackey. It's just my name, super simple and easy. And you can find our agency at Antidote _71. That's ANTIDOTE _7 across all social platforms as well.
As for me, catch me at home sipping a craft cocktail, expertly prepared by my in-home bartender, who happens to be my husband.
Stay tuned because we'll be back with another episode every other week featuring a brand new cocktail recipe, more tangents, and of course, we'll do our best to answer all your burning marketing questions.
And if you have a question you'd like to send our way, head to ctapodcast.live to shoot us an email.
Or even better, leave us a voice message. Remember those, Caitlin? On our hotline at 402-718-9971. Your question might make it into a future episode.
For now, make sure to like, subscribe, and join us again next time for more fun and insightful discussions. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers!